have mercy, look at how the time goes.
3,
Seems
2,
I'm so much
1.
older than
Hey,
my
everybody out there, and welcome to this episode of the Comin podcast with John Allen. I am, as you know, the host of this podcast. My name is John Allen, and today I have with me a fantastic guest. He is a Norwegian. English is not his first language, he wanted me to say, but I just think it's a charming accent. His name is Raymond Olsen. Hello, Raymond.
Hi, John.
Nice to have you. Thank you for doing this, man.
Well, thanks for having me. I mean, we've been talking about this for a while, and I think it's cool that we finally made it happen, even during this crisis and stuff.
Yeah, I had forgotten when I first got the thought of doing this podcast. I think you were the very first person I discussed it with, and I said right away I would like to have you on. So that's a few months ago, and it took a little time, but here we are. Now
Here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Now you've been, you mentioned the crisis, everything with the corona and everything is shut down and people at home, but you have found a very interesting way to use this time wisely. You are doing, I guess in English it would be called the DigitalStage, DigitalScenen in Norwegian, and you guys are just kicking ass with this concept. What is it? Tell us about it.
Oh, well, the long story is, excuse me. Well, it started out as just like, this Corona thing hit off, and everyone was baffled, and nobody knew what was going to happen.
Right.
Like with all musicians, all the stage techs, all the sound engineers, the lights, all of this. All these people that are suddenly overnight unemployed, they're not supposed to be gathered in crowds and stuff.
Right.
And a good friend of mine, Torgrim, he sat home late one night and he thought, what, we need to do a group that's called DigitalScenen and give the people I know a platform to sort of stream their shows. Maybe someone wants to pay something for it. Let's just see what happens. And he started it thinking there was going to be like a couple of hundred people in there, good friends gathering. Went to sleep, got up next morning, and there was like thousands of people in there.
Now, for those who are listening, this is a live stream service that you guys started, and it is based on Facebook.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, I wasn't clear on that. No, it was actually, it was done on Facebook. And it was supposed to be like just a Facebook group that people could gather and be a community, like musical wise. And he was thinking about photographs and videos and theater and all of these people that are that have been affected by this. So basically, he's a photographer and a journalist and an author, book author. Yeah. So he's a really creative guy, and he kicked this off. And I was in there seeing that things sort of, people can be cruel. They're seeing stuff online and they're throwing their words around.
Sure, people get those. They get internet muscles, social media muscles.
That's true. So I think at one point there was like 3,000 or 4,000 people in there, and I was in there looking, and some of the comments were rather nasty. So
I saw that. Yeah, people were kind of negative.
Yeah.
They were cruel, straight up cruel. Yeah.
And you know what? To some degree, I can relate to what they were thinking, because there was a lot of strange stuff going on that page in the early days.
Because now we're talking about top quality concerts with top quality artists. but what were some of the weird, strange things that came in the first days of this group?
Yeah, but I mean, and when you have like people, and I'm not talking about young people, up to age people running around their front porch with their tiger thongs on and a guitar and gluing their bank account number on the screen and playing some Norwegian wannabe hit song. it sort of sparks an anger in people because they're like, how, and that's the weird thing that I've discovered during this, because the public was like, they were loving it and they were hating it, and I think that's the general, that's the goal of this group, because it grew
how so
fast. I mean, it was incredible. Now we're 150,000 people in there.
Yeah, and that number fascinates me, because Norway is a country of just a little bit over 5 million people. So to have a culture-related and art-related social gathering online, on social media, and to have over 100,000 people fascinates me. That tells...
and it fascinates everyone, and that's sort of well, I'm going to come back to that part of the story later on, because so I was just going on a rant on the page saying that, you know, people behave, be good to each other.
Yeah,
we're here for the same reason. Yada yada yada. You know.
Yeah.
And Torgrim calls me up and says, "Hey man, you want to help me do this? I need people to help me moderate this site, because I don't know what I'm doing. I just want to start a community for friends." But he was sort of foreseeing enough to see that this could be big.
He saw the potential right away.
Yeah, he did. But he never dreamed about this being as big as it is now, though. So we got together 4 people, and the group's numbers just rised. I mean, we went to bed at 10,000 and we got up at 60,000.
This is fascinating. Absolutely.
And it was crazy.
Well, for me, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, when we started pushing 100, it was like, what's going on? There's something weird going on here. So we got this, I don't know who, one of the guys knew some girl who was just being, I don't know the word for it, out of work from her place. She worked at the event company called Giro, and she's like a social media expert at some sorts.
What's her name?
And
give her a shout.
Talia. Yeah.
Talia.
Yeah. That's and she's been gold for our group. She's sort of straight. She was like, "This is cool. I love this. This is unheard of. The rate we are growing." So she came in with like the know-how on how these things work.
So you guys had basically the vision, and she came in with the technical know-how as far as how to implement that vision. Oh man, it looks like we lost you. You there? Wow. Looks like we have lost the connection to Raymond.
John, you there?
There we are. Now
there
you are.
I lost you. Sorry, you need to do it again.
Yeah. No, what we had said, or what the last thing we caught was that you guys had the vision for this, and you started to get people in, and then you connected up with Talia. What's her last name? Talia.
Talia Sofia Gran.
Talia Sofia Gran. And you connected with her, and then she kind of had the technical know-how to spread this throughout social media. That's true.
Yeah. And that was gold for us, because let's face it, we're a bunch of middle-aged men. We know the business. I mean, we're personal. I'm a sound engineer from core, and this guy's a photographer, Torgrim, excellent photographer and journalist and book author. And we had this other guy is like a very skillful musician, and then there's a video photographer who's been working on the Norwegian hit series before Foreigners, actually.
Okay, yeah. So you guys knew the business. You know the business. You know how
we
to
know
reach.
The business.
Yeah.
We know the people. We know the mechanisms. But we had no idea about social media. we can use it. We know like Facebook and Twitter and all that fancy stuff. But how to actually implement it business-wise and how to implement it like working, that's a whole different ballgame.
Well, you guys are certainly well on your way. If I understood correctly, you guys have actually consolidated this into an official business. It's not just for fun. This is a business now. This is something that you guys plan on expanding on and continuing with, regardless of what happens with the coronavirus.
Yeah, that's true, and that's not just us. I mean, that's sort of bounced off the back of the business. So they are talking about it, and they wanna they see us as a natural part of it going on. So, because the thing that happened that as we like pushed 100 people, 100,000 people, 120,000 people, and there were a lot of amateurs on this site, so it sort of pushed away the professionals. We lost the crowd that we originally started the page for.
Yeah, I would imagine a lot of so-called hobby musicians were like, oh my gosh, this is my chance to be heard. And they may have good intentions, but maybe they didn't have the quality in their musical product to attract a crowd. Am I right?
For sure. I mean, the first 14 days were insane. I mean, you have we are manually moderating the page. You have no idea how much weird stuff I've seen during this.
I can't imagine.
I mean, it's if you think that guy in the tiger thong with his guitar on his front porch is weird, that's nothing.
Do you have the Norwegian equivalent?
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. So
when it comes to moderating that page, walk me through it. How does it work? Okay, I'm a musician. I want to be seen on your live stream page on Facebook. I can't just connect into Facebook and start filming myself. How does it work? How do you guys control who gets on?
That's an excellent question. Well, in the beginning, it was like we were just throwing everything on the wall. The discussion page on the group, and everything went out there. And it was completely anarchistic.
Yeah.
There, and we had to sort of take it back a bit because there was a lot of complaints about everything going on there, but we didn't want to kill it either. So that was the fascinating part of that.
You got to find the balance. Yeah, you got to find a balance. How do you keep the quality, but how do you let people?
So technically, what's going on? If you want to stream a show through us. You could go about it like one of the ways that a lot of people do. They just start a live stream and they post it on our wall. Like they start a live stream on our on the actual group wall, the discussion page.
Yeah.
And for that to work, it requires that one of us is ready to hit accept on that moderator button.
Yep.
Then you're good to go. I mean, you can just fly away.
That's simple. You guys just click accept and then they're off to the races. Yeah.
Yeah.
We lost Raymond again. For those of you who are listening, I'm talking with Raymond through some sort of internet chat thing, which of course relies on a good Wi-Fi signal. I don't know if it's his signal or mine that keeps fading out.
To be honest, there's no way
we lost you. I lost you for a second again.
Okay.
So if we go back to what you were saying, what were you saying?
Turn off my camera. Maybe that will help like that.
Oh, there's a cool picture that ccame up. That's a good promo picture. You standing there with a guitar. Yeah. No, I'm not sure what you were saying when we lost you, but
I think it was about how to what's going on when you start to stream at our page.
Yes,
because we need to allow you, and that people don't really understand that we are actually live people who has to push a button to let you in there.
Okay, so this is good information. This is good information then to get out there so that people don't get frustrated. In other words, they have to coordinate directly with one of you guys. Now, how do they do that? Can they send you guys a message, a private message, and say, "Hey, my name is, I'm John Allen. I want to perform at 5:00 tomorrow evening. Can we schedule that?" In other words, do they have to contact you just like I described and schedule a performance?
I'll get right into that in just a minute. Because that is not, we are not scheduling appointments, the regular group page.
No. Okay. Okay. You there?
That's not, we are, I mean, we have, there's always someone around to push that button.
Okay.
But not necessarily within the first half hour, if you're unlucky.
I see. So it's dependent
so
upon
what you can do.
It's dependent upon one of you guys being on Facebook and seeing that someone is requesting to come in and live stream. And when you see that, you click approve, and then they're going. Okay, I see. Wow, we lost Raymond again.
A bigger crowd.
There you are. Now you're back.
Are we? Oh, this is not good.
Yeah, it keeps blinking in and out.
Still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I can tell. That's sort of weird. Hold on. Let me just check my.
Everybody is getting
my connection is good here.
All of my listeners are getting this as it happens. I never edit the thing. They get what they get, but that's okay. They understand. This is through a Wi-Fi connection, and it can be a little bit shaky. So.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Right now, I hear you just fine.
So yeah, that's good. So what's happening is, if you want to be sure to be streamed, you'll have to open an arrangement, an event through our page.
Yep.
Then you can stream directly into that page, that event.
Okay.
Then we don't have to moderate that. That's going naturally.
I see.
So, and that brings us back to what, like, if you think the analog world of music, you have to do the promotion, you have to do getting the crowd in the door, you have to do all of these things instead of just throwing the music in the people's face.
I've been thinking a lot about that. One thing that in relation to that, one thing that I notice among Norwegian musicians, Norwegian musicians have a tendency to kind of brush aside the money-making side of music. And they'll say, whether they mean it or not, they'll say, I don't care about the money. I just want to perform. Okay, you can be the grungy type of musician and act like you're doing it just for the love of it. And doing it for the love of it is fine. But also, one has to think of the money-making possibilities there. So along with that comes the whole aspect of promotion. It's one thing for me to sit here and play. It's another thing for me to sit here and play and make money to finance further recordings, to finance further promotions and whatnot. So getting on your page that has 150,000 viewers is great, but it's better if you have let as many of those 150,000 viewers know as possible. Let them know that you're going to be on there. Get them to watch you, and then that just furthers your legacy as a musician. So the promotion, so the promotion side of it is extremely important, and that's a whole nother aspect of social media that people, it would do them good. If you're an artist of any kind, it would do you some good to learn the promotion side of social media. Facebook ads, Google ads, Instagram ads, and whatnot, to let people know what you're doing.
For sure. I mean, yeah. It's like a picture. We have 150,000 people in line to the club.
Yep.
So we need to get them into the club to watch the show, and they are there. We are throwing posters at them, but they still have to get through that door to seek out that concert.
Yeah.
But it's a big crowd. I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity for publicity.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm telling people, because what we've done now, we saw I had a phone 3 weeks ago. I had a phone call that sort of changed the face of DigitalScenen.
Yeah.
Because this guy called me up and he says, okay, listen, I want to buy the spot between 9 and 11 on Saturday. And I'm like, yeah, how are we going to do that? I don't know. You figure it out. And I was like, okay, how we going to make this happen? So that spiraled to a concept that we're called. It's now been called DigitalScenen Pro.
Yeah,
which is sort of telling of professionalism. I mean, it's professional product, professional production, professional artists, so that when the people see our design on the label, when they see the design on our ads, they should know that, okay, these artists are good. This is a good production. This is not this guy in tiger thong on his porch.
So in other words, you have two levels of this concept. One is called DigitalScenen or DigitalStage in English, but it's actually written DigitalScenen. At the end, I'll spell that out for the non-Norwegian speakers. And then you have DigitalScenen Pro. And the distinction is the quality of the production and maybe the level of the artist and the quality of the production, in other words, is exactly what it says in the name, professional.
Yeah, that's true. So, and what we're doing specifically, if you as an artist, if you've been picked up, if you could call it that, or you contact us and you want to be featured on the pro part, there's, as of now, the management are contacting us, wanting to do this. So what's happening is that you book an appointment with we sort of made this core time between 7 and 10 Wednesdays to Sunday.
Okay. Yeah.
And between that's an important time frame. I'll get back to that. So what happens is you book a slot with our page, the pro page, and then you get like the promotion, you get the design of the event, you get the technical know-how, the follow-up, and when your show airs, we glue it to the top of the group with 150,000 followers.
Yeah.
And we close down the rest of the group as on the wall. So when, as a pro artist, when you have your show, there's nothing new going on the wall below you.
So the focus is funneled towards that pro artist and their show. I see. Yeah. And it's up to the artists themselves to ensure that the sound quality and the feed into the live streaming is proper. You guys don't get involved in that, right? You just open the portal, but the artists themselves is responsible for the sound quality and whatnot.
To some degree, we are doing everything on our part to ensure that everything is good. We ask questions. What kind of production do you have? Because the thing is, it's not all about the artist. We want to provide for the camera guys. We want to provide for the lights. We want to provide for the sounds. So that when you do a show through Pro, we want you to include other people. That's sort of the aspect of it.
Exactly, because it is a entire environment. It's not just the artist, but there is a production team around them that also is looking for a new way for exposure and for income. That's true.
Yeah. And that's sort of the base, the core idea of everything that we're doing in the first place, and then it's been professionalized through the pro stage. So, and we're thinking further on. We're thinking talking to artists, talking to technicians, to managements, booking, stuff like that. We all see that this has some life after this Corona crisis thing.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
So we are all thinking on how to make this a solid foundation. Because let's face it, Facebook is not the best way to stream concerts. It's not the most stable form that you can operate on.
So what are you thinking of for the future then? Are you thinking of your own website, or?
That would be the coolest. That would be absolutely fantastic. I don't see a life without
We lost you again.
Facebook, because we sort of built our hair and okay.
Can you hear me now? Now I hear you. Yeah, you can't imagine a life without Facebook. Facebook is important, but as you say,
that's true.
But as you say, it's not your format. It would be kind of nice to bring that within your own house, so to speak.
It would be nice to be able to control, whatever's going on with the stream, with the page, and sort of design it the way we want. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we are discussing a lot of ideas, and maybe none of them will come through, and maybe some of them will. We don't know right now, because it's so early in the process. We are still learning. We are still trying to build this house. It's like I said, we are building the boat while we row it.
That's a good way of putting it. But I tell you, that's a pretty solid boat that you guys have got going so far. Hats off to you guys. I just think it's fascinating. I think it is absolutely fascinating what you guys have gotten up off the ground here. I would love to be,
and it's super fun. I mean, it's so rewarding in a way. I mean,
sure.
The pro page it's a pay service, obviously, because we need to get some income to this, to ensure the livelihood of it. But just the audience, the feedback, and the people. You were talking about how we what was it? How we make sure that the productions are good. It started off. We have some really good, call it partners or friends that we sort of push bands and artists through. One of them being Norsk Lydstudio in Mjøndalen.
I love those guys. Shout out to them. I've worked with them before. I love those guys. Yeah.
They have done an amazing job. I mean, did you see that show with Backstreet Girls on Saturday?
No, I did not see that. I was actually in my own studio doing some recording, but I saw some pictures, and I saw maybe 10, 15 seconds of that show, and it just looked and sounded great.
Yeah, it did. I mean, they've created a solid base up there. They've been doing...
You there? Oh my gosh! I'm sorry, people.
And string parts.
Yeah, there we are. Now you're back. You said
after that show with. Oh yeah.
Can you back up a little bit? You said that Norsk Lydstudio has that. For those who don't know, Norsk Lydstudio is a local, well-known, nationally known music studio. Tons of well-known Norwegian artists go there to record. Those guys do a fantastic job. I was fortunate enough to work with them at some point. So you were talking about them creating a good atmosphere for that show that they had last Saturday, that live stream through your page.
Yeah, it was quite fun because the day before we had a well-known national artist, Heine Totland, and he did like this 50s rock and roll show, and the drummer was in one room and the bass player in another room, and they were standing in the big room performing, and it looked really cool, and it sounded amazing.
Yeah,
one of the best sounds that I've heard actually on this whole stream adventure. And the next day they're gonna have Backstreet Girls, who, for those who do not know, is a super well-known Norwegian rock band. It's like straight out of LA's sleaze rock band.
Yep.
It's really, really cool.
Those guys got some hard rock and roll. I like their sound.
Yeah, they're hardcore. The people are hardcore. The guys are really, they're legends in Norway.
Yes.
In their own state.
Yes, they are.
And they went into this and they're like, well, we can't play like this. We can't be standing in different rooms. We need to gather in this big room. So they had to throw everything up and rearrange everything and put up lights and smoke machines. And the guys at the studio just, okay, let's do this. So, and they maxed it. They did
Do you know what kind of camera equipment they used?
I think they're pro cameras. They have a couple of guys with a lot of knowledge and know-how from TV productions and stuff.
And so those guys work in-house at Norsk Lydstudio, right?
Yeah, they've been brought in for this events.
That's just fantastic.
So that is, they've been really taking care of this whole situation, and we are so fortunate to be having a collaboration with them. And on the back end of that, every rock band in Norway comes to say, "Oh, we want to do exactly like Backstreet Girls." Because that's the first gig. People say that's the first gig that sort of took away that be on a stage and play for an empty crowd.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this now. Okay, so a mid-level rock band sees the Backstreet Girls show and they contact you and they want to do that same type of production. Is that, or let me ask you, how feasible is that? Because I would imagine there are some production costs. Norsk Lyd Studio isn't going to do that for free. The cameramen are not going to work for free. How can an average band use the DigitalScenen Pro, the DigitalStage Pro feature that you guys have? Is it feasible for a mid-level band to be able to finance that? Can you talk about that?
Well, that's a good question. On our behalf, it's like, in Norway now, before this whole part, it's like, I play in a band. I guess we're going to come back to that later.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
If we wanted to play one of the big stages in Norway, or even the smaller one, like the pub stages, we'd have to put down a certain amount of money up front from our pocket to pay them to say, okay, we want to play here. And we have to pay for the gear and the sound engineer. Yeah. And then we'll go and play for the door, like with no minimum income. Yeah. So that's sort of what's happening on DigitalScenen Pro. You're playing for the door. You have to pay for the services that we provide. Yeah. But you are playing for the door. Yeah. So that's a consideration you have to do, and that brings me back to that whole promotion. Back to
the quality of the act and the quality of the promotion. Because when you say playing for the door, non-musicians may not know what that means. What that means basically is that you are, you pay your cost to perform for the sound man and for the sound equipment, and then playing for the door means you take a cover charge, and whatever you get from that cover charge is yours. Now on the digital stage that you guys have, I don't know about other countries, but in Norway we have a solution where there is a number. Sometimes it's a phone number, sometimes it's another number that people can actually wire money online over to the artist, and to be able to see musicians use that to continue to make a living I think it's just a beautiful thing. Again, it goes right back to what you guys are doing. You guys have opened a whole new possibility for musicians to make an income. I think you're saving a lot of musicians who might go under during these days because they have no way of making an income. But not only that, you've also opened the door for this thing to continue in the future after society gets back to some resemblance of normality.
Yeah. I mean, the first 14 days were insane. People were throwing money at the people online doing concerts. I mean, you could actually be doing like a pub set with yourself and a guitar and just playing cover songs at your living room, and you could pull in like 50, 60,000. It was the first couple of weeks were insane.
That's about $6,000 for my American listeners. Yeah. I would imagine it's kind of calmed down now, or has it? Do you have any? Do you know anything about what's going on with the income for these artists these days?
Yeah, I mean, it's plummeted. It's people are now getting more sparse with their money, as they should be. Sure. If you ask me, pay for quality, and so. While we have taken a lot of hits for opening this world of everything, on this page, all the pro people are sort of frowning upon us. And they're asking about tonal fees, which is like the I don't know the American equivalent, but you have to pay a fee to an organization that provides for musicians.
Yeah, in the States that would be ASCAP or BMI.
Yeah.
That's the broadcasting fees. You know, when artists when artists get played on the radio, there is a fee that the radio station has to pay, and then that fee goes further to the artist. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, that's true. So
have you guys fixed that though? Have you guys fixed that solution though?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of back and forth. I'm going to mention that in a second. Just bring me back to that.
I will.
But for the money wise, it's now we see more of level-headed construction of everything. We are no guarantee for income. I mean, we've had completely unknown artists coming off the street, not pulling any money at all, doing pro shows. And for those kind of artists that we sort of open the door for, because there are two ways into this pro world. One is that we sort of call it discover you. We like what you're doing. We want to put you out there. If you just do the cost for studio time and everything, we'll do sort of a split deal event. Yeah. So, and that's the one way. And the other one is being endorsed or by a management, or you are a well-known artist. Yeah. Yeah. And you pay for our services. So that's sort of the two ways in. And we have discovered, like last night, we had this guy called Axel on stage. He's been doing really good on the DigitalStage, the group, doing like his own shows.
I think I've seen that guy,
camera phone.
Yeah.
So I had some discussions with him, and I said, you know what, let's do it a pro show. Get in and get your people gathered and film and sound good, and we'll put you on the pro stage. So that was quite a nice concert. And that that's really a good story from yesterday, because I talked to the guys, and it sounded, while he was playing, he sounded, not to my ears, not as good as he did when he was playing back home.
Ah, okay.
He seemed uncertain. He seemed like he was holding back and everything. And I talked to the guys around him after the gig, because I called up and said, you know, what's going on? Like, they did the entire show first for like pre-production, and it sounded awesome. And then as soon as they hit send button, he was taken by nerves.
Oh, he got nervous.
Even though you don't have that crowd in front of you,
you know it's there.
If you start thinking, oh shit, there's potential of 150,000 people watching me now, then it when that sinks in, it's hard to hold your composure.
I guess I understand that, but for me, you know, for those listening, I'm also a musician and I perform live. It's been years since I performed music live. I do stand up, but it's a long time since I performed music live. But I tell you, the idea of being in front of a crowd, that I don't get scared. I get excited. I'm like, all right, man, here we go. My heart goes out to musicians who otherwise have enormous talent, but they freeze up when they get in front of a crowd. My heart goes out to them. But for me, it's the opposite. I get excited, and that's when I cut loose when I know there's a crowd out there.
Yeah, but you see that crowd. You can feed off that crowd.
Yeah, and
That's the thing.
And I do, absolutely.
Yeah, but you can't do that just knowing how many is out there. Is anybody watching? Is there like 150,000 people watching? There's no feedback.
Yeah, you know, that's true. And I've gotten a couple of offers to do stand-up on various, I think you and I actually talked about it. You asked me if
we did.
And I politely said no, or I hope it was polite. I politely said no, because I need that feedback. And I think especially just to differentiate between music and stand-up, in a stand-up situation, my act depends on that audience feedback. I need to be able to flow within my routine based upon what people say or do or the look on their face or whatever. So I have to have a crowd if I'm going to do stand-up. But music, just the thought of having possibly 100,000 people listening if I were to do music, that would turn me on. I would be so excited. And I really don't think I would have a problem with that. I think it would be exciting.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe it's... no, go ahead.
Nah, I'm just thinking that, it wouldn't bother me at all either.
No.
But some people do get set off by it. So it's not as easy as playing in your living room. As soon as you get that stage lights on, you get that sound on, you get everything going.
Now, this guy that you mentioned, did he do, where was he when he was performing? Was he
up north in just north of Trondheim?
Okay, was he in a real...
And that's the strength of this community, because there's a lot of really good streams going on in Norway now.
Yeah.
You have something called Corona Ruling, who is...
God, yes. Tell us about that. I've seen that. Tell people about that.
Yeah, they're Oslo-based. This guy called Christer Falk, who's like a legend in Music Norway for promoting stuff and being into anything music. He's done an amazing job pulling together all the big artists to perform at a stage in Oslo called I lost that. They're performing at Sentralen. Yeah,
Sentralen. Yes.
Yeah. So they've done an amazing job for the big artists for their income. So there's not, and those guys are sort of, they started off promoting through our page. They started off doing their stuff, and we talked to them and said, okay, guys, is it okay if we put it up on DigitalScenen? And they're like, yeah, sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And we saw the numbers, as soon as we did, we saw the numbers fly up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the power of DigitalScenen. People are hanging around to see good quality products.
And that's the power of networking. You guys reached out to somebody as big as Christer Falk. You weren't afraid to do it, and it gave you guys some benefits that you did. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and so we both benefited from it. I mean, we grew bigger on their back, and they grew bigger on our back.
That's the power of networking. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, in its highest form. And we did that to a lot of people around. Okay, we like your stream. When we see what you're going on here, is it okay if we put that on our wall? They're like, yeah, for sure. So yeah, that lifted a lot of small streams around here as well, around Norway. Now the thing is, we have, when we go pro, we have that Sentralen all over Norway.
Yeah.
Because we can work with anyone. Anywhere. I mean, if it's Norway, we're branching to Sweden as we speak. There's not too much to say about that, other than we have some interesting Swedish artists coming to our page. And we are sort of reaching out to our neighboring countries to see if we can.
Who is the biggest artist? I don't want to say the biggest artist. What artist has had the biggest response so far on DigitalScenen?
Backstreet Girls.
Backstreet Girls by far. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. They broke the system.
I should go back and listen to that. Like I said, I was actually busy that evening, but I saw like maybe 10, 15, 20 seconds of their show. And I saw the video production looked fantastic. I should go back and listen to that. Yeah. Yeah,
you should. And tonight also is going to be, actually it's Wednesday, Easter Wednesday. And, we're having 3 rather different but equally interesting artists. I know you're not gonna air this today, so it's not gonna be commercial in that manner. But
well, you know what? I'm gonna work hard to get this uploaded and put out already today. Pretty much as soon as we hang up, I'm gonna start that process and get it out there. Yeah.
So a big shout out to Tove Bøygard, who's playing live from her cabin up in Ål. There's this guy in studio called Hollybucken Productions, who's amazing guy.
Can you spell?
I have no idea how.
Can you spell Tove's last name?
I'll send it to you.
Send it to me, and then I'll.
Or you can you know what, you can find her on DigitalScenen Pro.
There you go. DigitalScenen Pro. And that is SCENEN Pro. DigitalScenen Pro. Those are for the non-Norwegian speakers. You guys go in there and check out these shows that are coming up this evening. So you say you have 3 shows coming up this evening. One of them is Tove. Did you say Tove Begård?
Begård, yeah.
Yeah, and then who else?
We have this actually a quite legendary group called the Real Thing, which is like a jazz group. It's been around for ages.
The Real Thing.
The Real Thing. I mean, it's
now before we get too much into the Coming Home.
Let's just place them in the jazz segment. But they're super cool. They're amazing.
She's from LA Square
and
Design.
Last but not least, we have a guy called Torstein Flokne, who's from the world famous group.
And also for my music.
Yeah, you know. Oh, I froze up. Hold on, give us a second. Stage Dolls.
Stage Dolls, of course. Yeah. Now they're known. They're international.
Marketing service.
Yeah.
They've been in the States, have they not?
Distance is not an issue here. I'm here in Norway.
I do believe so.
Miss Ellen and LA Square Design, they're in Lafayette, Louisiana. We had no problems.
Did we lose Raymond again? Hello, Raymond. Are you there?
Changes through Dropbox, a couple of phone calls and email.
Different show.
And boom.
You there, mister?
Yeah, you faded out again. But the Stage Dolls, I was saying, they've performed in the States, haven't they?
Capture it in reality.
I would guess so.
I do believe, yeah.
Here's the logo for the Coming Home podcast.
Yeah, because they were really big at some point.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. So that's what's coming up this evening on DigitalScenen. And let me spell that for everybody one more time. DigitalScenen Pro. DigitalScenen Pro.
Design.
I gotta tell you, man, you guys are just. Well, let me ask you this: when are you going to perform? Because you have a fantastic band called Mudrod. You are the lead vocalist and rhythm guitarist, and Mudrod is under your album that was released 4 months ago, was released under my record label in cooperation with my record label, Loyal Oak Productions. When are you guys going to get on there and do your thing?
That's a good question. When we have the time.
Here's the record executive putting some pressure on you guys.
Yeah.
Here's that corporate pressure coming on you. No, for people who are listening, this is not, I'm joking, because Raymond and I, we have basically a handshake deal. My record label is not out there to squeeze money out of artists. I don't want any money from these guys. I just help promote them, and I do some of the legwork when it comes to getting that album up and out to the people. This is Raymond and Mudrod's project. I don't have any financial interest at all. I just like the music, and I would
like you do.
Well, and I would love to see you guys be able to do it, but maybe there's some restrictions when it comes to the quarantine situation and all that. I don't know. Is anybody sick?
Yeah, we have. I mean, we're all family folks, and we got a policeman in our band, and he's out working every day. So it's like, we're trying not to gather as we speak.
Yeah.
So
smart.
and we all have our hands full in each.
Well, family
camp.
first.
So,
family first.
Yeah. So family first. But we had this show scheduled 9th of May.
Yeah. I had in cooperation with you guys, it was supposed to be a show with Mudrod and Dance Commander, an Oslo band, and we were going to perform here in Drammen at Union Scene, and it just because of the virus and the quarantine and whatnot, that show that was scheduled for the 9th of May has been canceled, and I have mixed emotions about that. I mean, it's a smart thing to do, so in a way I'm relieved that the venue canceled it, but man, was I looking forward to that. What a show that would have been.
That would be super cool. Oh. So are you asking me if I want to do a show on DigitalScenen Pro with Mudrod? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. At some point, I would love to do that. That would be super cool. But right as of now, that's not an option.
It's not an option.
We're not getting together. But I mean, this phenomenon is going to live on forever. So in my head, it would be a smart move to do the show live on whenever the world gets back to normal. Do the show live and then stream it simultaneously through DigitalScenen Pro.
Yep.
Because we're getting a lot of feedback from people. I mean, it's really weird because I have a lot of mail in my inbox saying, thank you guys for doing this, because as of now, I am normal. So people they're using the normality term as it's weird, because it's sort of, as I say, you're not normal. You are not unnormal. You are still normal, but they feel that as a part of their society, they feel that they're part of the entire society, because many people are stuck at home for different reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, it's being social, afraid of social gatherings.
Yeah.
They're being physically or mentally locked in their houses, and now everyone is.
Yeah, So now,
so they're sitting online watching the same shows as everyone is. So, and that is, we need to take that further on. We need to address that when the world gets back to its feet and we can walk out again and meet people and be in gatherings. We need to remember all these people sitting at home, not being able to go out for different reasons. And this is what we need to do. What we're doing now.
Well, yeah, what you're doing with DigitalScenen, Digital Stage, you guys are doing your part to bring a little bit of, not a little bit, a lot of entertainment home to people who are not able to get out. And yes, that should continue, because some of us are going to get on our feet and we're going to go back out there. We're going to be active and go into work. But yes, there are some people for various reasons who will still be sitting at home. And it would be nice to bring a little art into their lives even when society goes back to normal. Again, I think what you guys are doing is fantastic. It's a little bit sad that we are in the situation that we are in, but you guys are really dampening that sadness by bringing music into people, into their lives, the way you're doing. It's just fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, it's not only a shout out to us. It's a shout out to an entire music and production community in Norway as a whole, because everyone is just up on their feet. And again, we are good in Norway. We have the financial muscles. We have people are out of work. People are starving, but now we're so far into it that we can lift our heads and look around us and see that, okay, there are people worse off than us.
Because we are doing pretty good here in Norway. Personally, my family and we haven't noticed any financial loss because of what's going on. And I think that's true for a lot of Norwegians. But then there's a lot who are feeling it, musicians, for example. But in general, here in Norway, we are doing so, I look back and see what some people are going through back home in the US, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty scary. So we are very fortunate to be here in Norway and have the social benefits that we have.
Yeah, that's true. That's not saying that people can't have a tough life here in Norway as well.
Absolutely.
Does. And you can, I know a lot of people who are sitting in their houses thinking, how can I afford to provide my family? How can I afford to keep a roof over?
Yeah, absolutely.
But the thing is, you're not being thrown out on the street. There are always other options.
Yeah.
But you are not, your way of life is in danger, and that hits home with everyone.
Well, yeah, and that's why I say, I don't want to minimalize anyone else's suffering, whether they're back home in the States or other places in the world or here in Norway. But personally, I recognize my fortune in that my family has not been financially affected by this so far. Yeah. But I do, absolutely, there are people out there who are suffering. So my heart goes out to them.
The thing is that the systems are around, the people are around, people are willing to go the extra mile to provide. And as of now, we have a luxury problem when it comes to this whole streaming thing, because there are more studios and more stages going on than there are artists.
Yeah.
They're like all in every corner of Norway. There are music studios and there are stages like saying, okay, come on, use us. We're ready. Yeah. Put something on.
Yeah.
And the thing, earlier you could do like, if you were a big artist, you could play all the stages in Norway. You can, you travel from one stage one night and you go to the next stage the next night and do all this. Now, when you do this digital thing, a lot of people are thinking, "Oh, but I'm used up." I've done this. I've been online. I've done my show. What now?
Well, I tell you, I have an answer for the what now. The what now is keep doing it. I tell you what, if okay, like I said, I don't want to do any kind of stand-up right now because I need that crowd. But when it comes to the music, I've said this before on other podcast episodes, and I've had a very intense series of shoulder operations, and the last operation was extremely serious. So I'm pretty much lame in my left arm. But I tell you, if it wasn't for that, if I could sit down and play my guitar for a half hour or more, right now I have to stop after 10 minutes. But if I could play my guitar for a half hour or more, I would get out there and I would find every single opportunity to perform digitally. So that's my answer. For people who say, okay, I've done the digital thing, now what? Well, keep going. That's my, if you can find a digital stage that will put you on, keep going.
You are an American. We are Norwegian. we are, there is a difference. We need to address that to some point.
Well, what is the thinking behind, okay, I've done the digital thing, what now? What is the thinking behind that? Why would they not want to keep?
I think it's about people are afraid of being too pushy. People are basically, they don't want to get it. Most Norwegians don't want to get in your face. They're sort of reserved people.
Well, maybe, and maybe that goes back to what I'm saying about, I understand people freeze up, when they had the thought of having 150,000 viewers on a live stream, so they freeze up. But my thought is, oh, wow, 150,000 people are watching what I'm doing. Let's go. Let's do this. I don't know. Is that an American thing? I mean, there's got to be other people who have that kind of ambition and that kind of.
That's a personality thing. Oh. It's not only an American thing; it's a personality thing. But the thing is, I mean, as I think as a wholesome, I've been to the US a couple of times last year, and for different reasons. I mean, and I had a blast on both tours. Met a lot of super interesting people. Yeah. But let's face it, the Americans are as a wholesome more outgoing. I mean, that's
true. Very true.
There are a lot of hi, how you doing? And, they're not really interested in how you doing. But if you meet a Norwegian guy and they say, okay, how you doing? Most of the times they're interested in listening to how are you doing?
Well, I want to disagree with that because now I don't know. I'm not sure exactly where you've been in the States, but where I come from in Ohio, when we ask, how are you doing? We mean it. And I see that every time I go home to visit family back home in Ohio. I see it most at like a grocery store when you're in line and you come up to the cashier and they say, yeah, how you doing today, sweetheart? And you start talking, and then it is a long verbal exchange back and forth for 2-3 minutes. And that conversation started with the cashier just asking, how are you doing, sweetheart? And then you start, it turns into a conversation. I've heard a lot of Norwegians say that they think it is a superficial thing when Americans ask.
I didn't say that.
You did say that they may not really care about how you're doing when they ask.
It's more of for a Norwegian. It's more the reason it's not a matter of how you how Americans are. It's the way we as Norwegians perceive it.
Okay. So you're not saying that Americans don't care. You're saying that Norwegians might experience it as if they don't care, as if it is a superficial.
Yeah, because it's just. I mean, we are different, but at the same time, I'm willing to say that. An American is not an American, because I've been to Chicago, I drove down to Nashville, and I've been in Miami, Florida, and the crowds are a bit different.
They're very different. I think that's something that Norwegians don't realize. They think that there is this American thing based upon what they've seen on TV, based upon, they hear about New York City, or maybe they traveled to New York City or to Los Angeles, and that's what they saw. That's what they know. That must be the way Americans are.
Yeah, that's the same thing about us and Norwegians. I mean, you've been living where I'm from. You've been living way up north. Yeah. You know that there's a difference between the people up there and the people down here.
Very different. Sure. It's a very large dynamic within the country's borders. It's that way here in Norway, but it's also that way in the States.
For sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The people where I come from are nothing like the people you're going to find in Chicago, for example. And I've lived in Chicago, so I know. You've been to Chicago, so
I love Chicago. Yeah, I love Chicago.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a great place, but the people are very different from what I'm used to from where I grew up in Ohio. Very different. The people in Ohio are very similar to your people up north.
All right. Yeah.
Yes. And maybe that's why. Yeah, and maybe that's why I enjoyed living up north so much, because it felt like home as far as the way the people are. Yeah, the openness, the friendliness, the laid back atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. I see what you're getting at.
Yeah. Now this is all this stuff going on Facebook with live streaming. And then you had mentioned that you saw a thread that I started on my Facebook wall.
You told me when we got into this interview that I could ask you anything if I want to ask you any questions.
Sure.
And you put this list on Facebook, like of these 10 things, there are 9 that I have done. One is not true. Can you guess which one is not true? And you put a list up there.
Yep.
And there's a lot of interesting things going on there. I mean, if you've done 9 of these things, I'm impressed.
I've had an interesting life. Actually, I mean, I'm just.
Well, I guess one of the things you have not done, I would guess that you have not sang a heavy metal cover song in Japanese nightclub.
That is something that I did do. When I was in the active duty in the U.S. Marines, I was stationed on Okinawa, Japan. And
you did not choose that yourself.
I'm sorry, say again?
You did not choose that song yourself.
Well. Here's what happened.
Give us the story. Yeah.
Here's what happened. I'm stationed on Okinawa, Japan, and on the weekends we would be in general a group of 3 or 4 guys that would go into town to this club. If I remember right, it's called the Cannon Club on Okinawa, and in that club they had a fantastic house band. I mean, I'm talking like virtuoso level guitar, bass, drums, and keyboard. It was a 4-piece band. And they would sing some songs themselves, but for the most part, they would have... I remember they had this lady. She was actually in the Air Force and also stationed on Okinawa, American lady in the Air Force, and she was their main vocalist for quite some time. But after a while... and they would play things like Deep Purple, a lot of Yngwie Malmsteen, Van Halen, Black Sabbath, stuff like that. Yeah. And I would be sitting always in the front row. I was, because I'm a fanatic for live music. So I'd be sitting in the front row. And if I knew the song, I would be singing along quite loudly. And after a couple of weeks of that going on, the keyboardist, who, if I remember right, was kind of like the leader of the band, he pointed at me, curled his finger and, as if come up here, and he pointed to the mic. They had played Knocking on Your Door by Deep Purple, and I had been singing along. So I got on stage, they played the song again, and I sang it. And I sang it well. Thank you very much. And that was the beginning of every time I would go there, they would ask me up on stage and I would sing a couple of songs. Oh man, I sang Rising Force by Yngwie Malmsteen, if you can remember that.
Oh yeah.
Wow, what else would I, all kinds of Deep Purple stuff. See, what people don't understand, if they listen to my music, the 4 singles that I've put out, they're very calm, quiet, acoustic songs with a little touch.
You have that bright voice.
Yeah, I do, but I also have a loud voice. There's a lot of different styles of music in me. I have a rock and roll side, but I also have an R&B side. I have a blues side. I have a jazz side. I have a funk side. So if you melt all that together, that is
you get a John side.
You get me. You get me. Now, people have only heard those 4 singles that I've put out, and they're very calm and quiet. Part of an explanation for why those songs are the way they are is because they were all recorded during a time shortly before and shortly after my last shoulder operation. So I was in a lot of physical pain. I couldn't play an electric set. I couldn't play my electric guitar and my big old heavy bass and all that stuff. So the songs came out acoustic, soft, and quiet with a touch of pain. Yeah. So those songs are quite reflective of what I was going through at that time. And the songs that are coming out now to fill out that album are in that same style. But again, there is another side. And I did sing heavy metal songs and rock songs on a stage in Okinawa with a Japanese house band backing me up. That is a true story.
Oh, loving it. It's quite interesting that you say that, that the songs you're doing now are mellow, they're calm, they're like this and that.
Yeah.
You also have different sides, and I think that's sort of that reflects musicality. That, and not only musicality, but that also reflects love of music.
Oh yes.
And you know me. I mean, you know that I'm not just doing rock stuff.
No, you have another side to yourself as well. Yeah.
I have my softer side.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone. No, but I love doing that. I love, like, this last weeks. I don't know if you know the artist Dylan LeBlanc.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. I love his voice. I love his albums. And that's like on the opposite scale of what I'm doing with Mudrod, though.
Yeah.
But I love both of them. I love sitting down with my acoustic guitar, just being super mellow, playing songs like that. And I love being on stage rocking out, screaming and pulling out my inner Ian Gillan.
Yeah. So that, so there was that list of things that I wrote, and people were supposed to find the one thing that wasn't true. Now, a lot of people did not think that was true, that I sang those rock songs. Was there anything else on that list that you can remember?
I've got it up here.
Yeah? So,
yeah. You want to go through it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so when scuba diving without any training, that's the least, we call it, that's probably the one, because that's, who hasn't?
Well, yeah.
So
the first thing
depends on scuba diving.
I did go scuba diving without any training. I did it twice. That's crazy. That's one of the most nuts things that I ever did. This was way back in the early 90s. I had some, this was also in Okinawa. I had some Okinawan friends who were scuba divers, and they asked me if I wanted to do it, and I said yes. And I did it.
Beautiful.
I did not go down very deep. I bet I probably didn't go down any deeper than 10 feet.
That's enough to get on this list, though.
It's enough to get on this list. I did do that. There were some people who also thought that was the thing that was not true, but that is true. I'd scuba dived with no training.
Yeah, because all of these other things are sort of, they point to a rather, how should I call it, interesting life.
Well, yeah,
because you have like the second one with I don't think we're gonna go into every point on this list, but you have like inserted a catheter into a woman on an international flight, and you actually answer that below that you have done that.
I have done that. Okay. Yeah, I was now there in the States. My job, I was a police officer, but I was also trained as a paramedic, and my wife, little Snoopy, hi Snoopy, she is a nurse. So this was way back in like 2002 or 3, something like that. We were on a flight. I believe it was from Norway to the States. Yeah, it was on the way to the States. And this pregnant lady was very pregnant. She had pressure, enormous pressure on her bladder, and she couldn't pee. And she was in a lot of pain. And yeah, it was rough. We got some medical supplies from the plane. You know, they did the thing. Is there anybody have any medical experience on this flight? So we raised our hand right away, both of us. So my wife and I actually performed that procedure, inserted a catheter into this lady, and helped her out. True story.
True story. Of course, it's a true story. I mean, well,
of course, who doesn't do that? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, of course. Well, I have no idea which one is going to be on this list that you have not done, because all of this seems Johnishable.
So I have had a very interesting and complex life. I have. I don't know. Should I just say which one is not true?
Well, I mean, it's been 16 hours since you posted these things, and I reckon some of them are spot on. So which one of these 10 points did you not do?
What I did not do is number 8. I was not a bodyguard for a famous celebrity. I was not.
That's a bummer.
It's a bummer. No, you know, when I first moved to Norway, people were asking me, yeah, you know, what kind of job do you want to do? And a lot of people suggested that I should be a doorman at nightclubs. You know, I was, you know, big, in shape and all that stuff. And my answer right away was, no, are you crazy? I don't care how big and strong I am. I don't want to put myself in a situation where I have to confront people physically. That's just not my thing. That's just not my thing. So along those lines, I've never been a bodyguard for a celebrity. I was a bodyguard / driver for a colonel, a lieutenant colonel in the Marines. That was actually my job for the most part when I was on Okinawa.
He was probably famous within his group.
He was very famous within his group. He was a badass, a former recon Marine, Lieutenant Colonel John Mackey. I don't know where he is these days. I don't know if he's still alive, but hats off to you, Colonel. I love you. And thank you for the good times and all of the opportunities that you gave me when I was with you on Okinawa. Yeah. I
love talking to people who have great stories. I mean, who's done a lot of things. That gives me inspiration in life.
Well, and likewise, you know, I like telling a good story, and I like hearing good stories from other people. Oh, you know what? Number 5, it says had a two-way flirtatious exchange with the leader of a Norwegian political party. That is true. You know who Siv Jensen is?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, of course. Everyone here knows.
Do you have an equivalent in the US?
I'm sorry, say again?
Do you have like an equivalent in the US? Do you have a similar person in the US?
Yeah, for those who don't know, outside of Norway, Siv Jensen is the leader of for Norway, a right-wing party. They like to take on a lot of issues against immigration, or at least having stricter immigration. They've been accused of being racist and so on and so forth. So that is the party that Siv Jensen has been the leader for. The equivalent in the States, certain Trump supporters would fall in line with what Siv Jensen's political party. And without getting into a political debate, that's just the truth.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Certain Trump supporters.
Just for reference,
So for reference, we can say that certain Trump supporters would fall in line with what Siv Jensen and her party here in Norway go for. So anyway,
I can see why you say that.
So I was working. For those who don't know, I used to work for the Norwegian Immigration Service, and I was on the job. And as I said, Siv Jensen's party is very involved in trying to reform the immigration policies in Norway. So they came to where I was working. Siv Jensen and a little entourage came to where I was working to do, like an inspection, just to see what we were doing, because it was a very touchy political issue at that time in the political atmosphere in Norway. So she comes to where I'm working, and I was... I'm still a big guy and muscular and in shape, but then I was in even better shape, a lot leaner. In fact, at that time, they didn't have a uniform for me. I was too jacked to fit into a uniform. So I was wearing civilian clothes. So Siv Jensen walks by the station where I was working, and she kind of looked me up and down, and she says, well, she said it in Norwegian, but I'll say the English equivalent. She says, "Oh my, but you look big and strong." So I looked her up and down, and I says, "Oh, you're not so bad yourself."
Oh, you bad boy, you.
So that was my little flirtatious exchange with the leader of a political party here in Norway.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
You know what we have not been talking about?
What's that?
Gear.
Ah.
You know, I am a gearhead. You know, as a sound engineer, and we haven't touched that either. You know,
I am so. I've said this to you so many times. I am so unknowledgeable when it comes to gear. You know, I'm a musician. I have my own studio. I can use what I have in my studio, but my lack of knowledge about gear will keep me using the same equipment for years simply because I'm afraid to switch it out, because then I'll have to learn how to use something new. And as a general rule, learning to use some new equipment goes very bad for me.
Well, we'll work on that. I mean,
I need to have you over. You got to get over here, man, and look at what I have and give me some tips on upgrading my stuff.
Yeah, as soon as this lockdown situation is done, you know, I'm gonna have to do that.
Yeah,
so I love that. I love gear. I love, you know, but yeah, there's like this gear for sound engineering and stuff, and which I've been doing for better part of 20 years.
Yeah.
Sort of makes me feel old saying that, but you know, I worked 10 years at Drammen's Theater, the theater in Drammen, which is they have like concerts and everything.
Yeah.
You know, everything is going on there from stage performances to rock shows, basically.
Yeah.
So I did my 10 years there before I left that because my kid was going to school, and my education says that I'm a school teacher, so I went back to teaching, and I'm teaching music at a high school in Norway. I don't know if it's a high school. That's the equivalent, is it?
Yeah, that would be the closest equivalent here. That school goes from 8th grade to 10th grade, which, you know, in America, it goes from 9th grade to 12th grade, but it's roughly the equivalent of a high school. Or I guess you could say, maybe you could say a junior high school. I don't know. The education system is so different from
somewhere around that area.
Yeah.
So, and I teach music there, and I love it though. But at the same time, besides being in a rock band and make my own music, I get to do this odds and off shows as a sound engineer. I've been touring with some Norwegian rather famous acts actually in Norway, Fay Wilhagen and such. And in that manner, I have to give a big shout out to my wife Anita and my family, because they're giving me a lot of space to do
Hi, Anita. Thank you for giving Raymond a lot of space. I tell you, no, but you know what? That's so good. You know, some people can say, "Oh, that's so cheesy. Why is he giving a shout out to his wife?" I tell you what, and I'm sure you can agree with me, or you can identify with this. I'm very fortunate that I get to, you know, kind of in air quotes, play around with these things that I love to do.
Yeah, sure.
Turn my hobbies into a job. You know, this with podcasting, this thing with music and writing for others, stand up. And I couldn't do that if I didn't have a wife who supported me in those endeavors.
Absolutely. And I'm aware of that. You know, I'm aware of the fact that I'm a really fortunate man. You know, I get
we are. Yeah.
Yeah, we are. I mean, I get to work with music. I get to spend a lot of time doing stuff that are not like family related.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I hope that she sees that it gives me joy that I can bring back to the family.
I'm sure she sees it. My wife, Snoopy, she sees that me being able to write, perform, do stand up, do this podcast, that gives me a little kick of energy that I then bring back into the family. It makes me a better husband and father that I'm able to do these things that I do. I'm sure your wife sees it the same way.
Yeah, she must. if no, I mean, we've been together for a couple of 20 years or something.
That long? Okay.
So yeah. So going at it, but
I've been with Snoopy for 20 years.
Yeah, there you go.
Been with her for 20. Been married for 18. It'll be 18 years of marriage. The 27th of April for us.
Oh, you beat me then. I have to use my kid as a reference. So he's 7. We've been married for 8 years. Or 9, I guess. We're pushing now because he's turning 8.
But together for 20.
Yeah, together for 20. 23 actually now. 22. Sorry, 22 years.
That's getting to be a rare thing. People aren't sticking together very long.
No, they're not.
I don't know that many people.
I'm not quite sure that's true anymore because more and more people are sticking together. I feel that.
I'm just trying to think. I'm just trying to think among the people that I know. I don't know too many who have been together over 20 years. I don't know. Maybe it's just the crowd I hang out with. But
yeah.
Not that I hang out with a crowd. I'm actually pretty isolated. Let me do a little introspection here. Oh, man.
Well, the clubs you hang at are not the same clubs as I hang out. So,
hey, different strokes for different folks.
Let's not get into that.
Let's not get into that.
No, and so I get to do all this, and DigitalScenen, as not talking about that because that is taking a lot of time. So,
well, let me ask you: can you see yourself making a career change and putting more time into this digital stage? And you guys have founded a business now.
I know. As of now, no.
No.
Not. I mean,
why? Because it's not big enough.
I love teaching. I'm very happy where I'm at. I love teaching. I love working with kids. It's a big school I'm working at, so I'm getting to meet a lot of people, and as long as I feel that I can make a difference, I'm gonna stick to where I'm at.
I hear you.
Somewhere down the line, when I'm still gonna be working with this DigitalScenen, and somewhere down the line, I reckon that there will be a need for a decision to be made.
Okay.
Am I gonna continue doing 2 jobs, or am I gonna stick to one job? And somewhere down the line, I hope there's room for me working on DigitalScenen on a more permanent base. But right now, no, I don't want to do it.
You are a teacher. That is your passion for the moment. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. And as long as I get to do some sound engineer gigs, I get to go on small tours, I get to play my music and do whatever I'm doing. I'm living the dream.
You are living the dream, and that is one of the things that attracts me to you. I can't remember exactly how you and I met, but when we met, I felt the friendship immediately. You're just a good guy. I'll just say it. You're just a good guy, and there's a I don't know. There's a connection. You seem to think in very similar ways. You seem to have a life that has a path that is very similar to mine. So
that's good.
Yeah, you're just a good guy, man.
I can't really remember how we met. Yeah, I do know. I think it was Henning Remme who sent me your number.
That's right.
Said,
yes.
Give this guy a call.
Yes, Henning. Yeah. I love that guy. That's my brother right there.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He's the man that I've known the longest here in Norway, and he's my number one. For the most part, I write for my own solo project, but when I write for others or in cooperation with others, he is the number one songwriting partner that I have. So I've known him for the entire time I've been here in Norway. I've only understood what he's been saying for about 6 months, but I've known him. I've known him for 18 years.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I mean, I understand his dialect, but for me, and people who live down south here, you and I are speaking English. I speak English when I do my stand-up and when I do my podcast. But otherwise, like on a friendship basis or usually in a business situation, I speak Norwegian. But then I speak Norwegian with a dialect that is totally different from the local dialect. And I think this dialect down here is very difficult to understand. That's me.
I can tell immediately that, oh, you've been living up north.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That is the basis of my dialect, is up in Finnmark, a little bit of Nord-Troms, and a little bit of Hellbillies. If you melt all that together, that's my dialect.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that I can see that.
Yeah.
See where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think he's such a great guitar player as well. I mean,
well, he's one of the best. Oh yeah, he's one of the best you're going to find here in Norway. And I don't say that lightly. I don't say that lightly.
No. Last year we did this small Friends festival over in Sweden that we attend every year. And last year we did this Deep Purple cover band stuff, going just for fun of it. So the girl who runs the festival basically ordered it. I mean, we've all been playing there for years, and she goes, "Next year you guys are doing Deep Purple." I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? You're going to be Ian Gillan. I'm like, oh no. So I had to work really hard to get up there at that point. And but Henning just sat down with the guitar, and he was Blackmore. I mean, that was such a good job by him doing that, and an amazing band all around. Actually, it was so much fun playing with those guys.
Yeah, that was a good bunch of guys, and Henning is just a solid. He's very musical. There's a lot of guys who play guitar, but Henning has a certain musicalness, if that's a word, a musical. It's like he got an infusion with musicality at some point in his life, and it's just in his blood.
But the thing is, I mean, let's talk about that musicality for a while, because you have people that are playing like fast as F, and they're just racing away.
Yeah,
but it's all technique. I mean, there's no feel to it. They're just applying that technique to everything they're doing. You know, it's there's a song. Let's play the hell out of it. You know, let's just play this as fast as we can.
Yeah.
Then there's like the Neil Young's, which I do love the Neil Young solos, like the one-string guitar solos.
Oh, I love that Cinnamon Girl solo is just
it's fantastic, you know. And actually recently, what was that? It was a Beatles song. What's it? Hey Jude. I'm gonna find that song later on. I was listening to it, and the guitar solo kicked in. Yeah. Like, it's not that hard, it's not difficult, but the sound of that guitar just gave me the chills. You know, my hair stood up on my arms, like, whoa!
Now, a lot of people are going to just cross me off their list right now when I say this, but I have never been a big Beatles fan, ever.
Where's the cross? No, actually, but you know, Beatles are, how should I put it? They're a big part of my musical background as a background, if you know what I mean. I've never been a big Beatles fan. You know, I love some of their songs, but I used one of those songs in for educational purposes. A couple of weeks ago, and I went through the motion, and I was listening to a song, and this one point, this guitar solo kicks in. Yeah. And the timing and the sound and the voicing of the guitar was just like, you know, when you get that moment.
Do you remember what song it was?
To be honest, I'm actually looking for it now, because right now it's just out of my head.
I don't know. The Beatles, I can acknowledge their significance in the history of music. I can acknowledge that. They were good at what they did. There's certain songs that I think are fantastic, absolutely. But I get more, you know, if you think of that whole thing that is the Beatles, I get more enjoyment out of certain aspects. In other words, of the certain members. I think Paul McCartney, the stuff he did with Wings, you know, some people write that stuff off, but I love it. George Harrison is just a golden gem of a musician. May he rest in peace. But so I like those two as individuals, but I don't know. People are going to cross me off, but I just don't see what the big deal was about the Beatles. or with John Lennon, for that matter. I just don't see it. Oof! Does that hurt? Does that hurt you?
I'm not getting into that. No, but I totally respect what you're saying, and I don't have a problem with that at all.
No, and I understand. And I understand that people like the Beatles. Yeah, I understand why people like them, but it just doesn't ring for me. It just doesn't.
Let's not get into that whole Rolling Stones discussion at all, because then we're gonna have a problem. So let's just leave that out of here.
Let's just leave that out.
So my entrance to this was, I was bringing this on myself. I know that, but my take on it was like guitar and the guitar sounds, because Henning has that touch, that feel that, when he starts to play at some points, you just go, whoa.
Yeah. That
was such a good timing on that, entrance on that solo, or the way he touches music. So he's super. He's got that understanding of music that a lot of people do, and I love that. I'm gonna guess I have over 200
songs that Henning and I have written together. The lyrical side of it is finished. It's the musical side that's only like a rough draft phase. But the melody and the lyrics, totally finished. About 200 songs that Henning and I have done together. And if you could hear the variety in that catalog of sounds, and one by one, these songs are coming out. There's maybe 30 of those songs that have come out on the two Raymond Brothers albums. There's 10 or 12 of them that have come out on Henning's side projects. If you just listen to the Raymond Brothers band, if you listen to Henning with Red Rockets, if you listen to...
So you are not editing this at all?
No, not in the slightest bit. No editing.
So what I'm going to trick you into doing now is to say that we're going to sit down and we're going to go through your catalog with the songs you've done, and I'm going to get to steal some of those.
Oh. What you mean you want to record some of them?
Yeah, let's see what happens. Let's sit down one day and go through them and see if any of those fit me.
You and I and Henning, we should all sit down and see. I'm going to say this: if you saw on my Facebook, I think it was 2 days ago, I posted something. It was a picture. It was a promo picture of the Raymond Brothers band, and I said it's been something to the effect of, "It's been too long since we've worked together. Let's get going." I posted that kind of to call them out, and I posted it because it's been what, almost 10 years since we did our last album, and yet here we are sitting with this huge catalog of songs, and I want to get that stuff out there. Now, I'm not trying to diss those guys. I'm not trying to but I do want to put them on the spot. We have all this music, mostly written by Henning and I, and I'm sure the other guys have some contributions as well. But there's this huge catalog of songs, and it needs to get out there.
I love. That's the thing. I mean, how many musicians are out there with an enormous catalog of songs that they've done? They're like, "Oh, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. I don't like this." And
I know.
My take on it is, how am I to decide? I mean, and I teach this to the kids. If you make a song that means something to you, and you think it's nice, you think it's good, you bring it to someone who can help you make it better. Maybe rearrange some chord progressions, maybe do some production stuff. Maybe look at the lyrics, just basically work the song a little bit, and you record it and you put it out there.
Yes.
And then someone says, "I don't like it. It's not a good song. It's not this, it's not that," and you start to listen to them. But then you get this one person who says, "You know what? That song, that really meant a lot to me."
Exactly. Yeah.
That song, and that shows you, who am I to deprive people of taking something from my songs?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I had this one moment we were doing a gig. Yeah.
Okay, people, we had like a 10-minute break while the internet just totally fell out. But now I've got Raymond Olsen back on the telephone.
All right.
There we are. Let's see. Let me turn you up a little bit louder. There we go.
Yeah, let's bring the noise.
Bring the noise. There we go. No, but just to kind of bring things to a close, we were talking about this huge catalog of songs that I have that I've written with Henning, and they're just sitting there. And you were talking about how you tell your students, if you have an idea, put it out there. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the judgment, And
no, that's true. That's true.
And I guess the way I look at that is of course I want people to hear my music and I hope they enjoy it. But I have kind of an internal or a selfish or self-satisfying reason for making music. I just want to get my thoughts out there. I want to get my expression out there. And once I've done that, then the battle is won. I win, and then if people enjoy it, that's great. And of course I want people to enjoy it.
That's such a good take on it. I was working with an artist called Rebecca Carriord. She's an amazing artist, Norwegian, but lives in Sweden. And I was touring Europe with her her album "Use My Body While It's Still Young." I did as a sound engineer.
Yeah.
And she had an interview once that they asked about. She went through a lot of hard stuff. I mean, with miscarriage and stuff, and that resulted in an album. And in this interview, they were talking about this, and they got into this fact that, well, isn't it hard to play these songs? That sort of brings you back to everything. And when you're on stage, you're singing these songs about these really hard times. And she says something it's been ringing in my ears since. It's been like, she says something to the effect that, well, while I'm working with the songs, I cry. I work my emotions into these songs. I work through my fears and my demons through the songs. So by the time they are done, and by the time I'm playing them for an audience, they are processed.
I see.
They are. I have cried so many times over this. I have been working with this so much that it's become like a natural part of me, and I can address it. That's such a beautiful way to see songwriting.
That is, and that kind of reflects what I have always said about my writing, is it's therapeutic.
Yeah.
It's that little magic pill that makes everything feel better, or at least that little magic pill that puts you in a position to deal with the things that you need to have feel better.
Yeah.
So that wow, that's kind of beautiful. That's
yeah. If you don't know that artist, you need to check her out, because she's got so many beautiful things going on.
Say her name again.
Rebecca Carriord. Yeah, I'll send it to you. You can find her on the Google page. The internet.
Interwebs.
Yeah.
No, so well, I tell you,
so that it's so much fun making fun of that whole the interweb thing. Just there's a lot of people who really don't get what's going on there. I mean, I have some really interesting talks this last weeks about these things, because particularly this one guy who was talking to me, and he was really angry at this troubadour guy playing all the time on our page.
Okay.
I was like, well, he's taking up all the stage. I mean, he's on the stage for hours after hours, and he's taking all the space. Like, what are you talking about? Well, I can't play because he's on the stage. He's taking off the stage. And I'm like, dude, there's a million streams literally every day going on simultaneously. And you cannot stream your stuff because he is streaming his stuff.
Sounds like that guy has a jealousy issue.
Yeah, but he was angry because this guy was, in his mind, he was
occupying the stage, the wall on our Facebook page.
Maybe he just doesn't understand how the wall works.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah, there we go.
And there's a lot of those going around, you know. And so, but I think we're all learning. It's a hard battle, but
it is.
It's rather. I mean, it's a fun part.
It is fun, and it is a learning process. I can say for myself, I know I'm not using the internet in all of the ways that I could, but I'm trying to learn. I'm in that process of learning.
Yeah.
I'm not a technophobe, but technology and I do not get along.
We'll get into that.
I'll fix that. I'm going to get that fixed.
Yeah.
But
I'm, you know, I love technical stuff. That's my, you know, I do. I wouldn't call myself a geek because there's a lot of geeks out there who out-geek me in so many ways. But I'm interested, and I do like new gear, and I love looking at that. But by the end of the day, I go back to my studio and I plug my 1968 Goya guitar into my Vox AC30 tube amp, and I get exactly what I need.
Back to the basics. Back to the basics. But that whole process of reaching out and kind of, you know, investigating new sounds, investigating new pieces of equipment, that's got to be fun. I see the fun in that. Absolutely.
Yeah, to me, and I was discussing this, I can't remember with whom, and I discussed the joy of buying a new guitar. Why do you need new guitars? Why do you need? And of course, my wife, as every person who lives with a musician would say, why do you need another guitar? Why do you need another pedal or an amp or a new piano or whatever? Like, and as I say, in every guitar I buy, there's an unlimited amount of songs that are different from the songs I write on this guitar.
I totally agree. Now, the last guitar, I don't have a lot of guitars, but I do have some. And the last one I bought about 2 months ago was an Ibanez AS53.
Oh, right, yeah.
Hollow body electric. And it's just, I've always wanted a hollow body or a semi-hollow body. I finally got it, and good Lord, the shift in musical focus that has brought about. We talked a little.
That's what I love.
It's just a totally new set of songs. That this one guitar, I paid this money for one guitar, and it exploded in my mind with new ideas for new types of songs. I've gotten the basic framework for maybe 5 or 6 new songs already from buying that one guitar.
Yeah, and I think that's a really. I mean, I get a lot of beef from some of my friends because they are like, well, play your guitar and you just need one guitar and you'll make your music on the. And
but
I understand. You know, maybe I'm less of a musician that they are, or less of a composer or anything. But to me, I need that. It's a matter of inspiration.
Yes, exactly.
And as you said, that tonal palette that gives you that
absolutely
sound, that the way it sounds brings about an entirely different ball game.
Exactly.
For me to play if I'd have like my Telecaster though, if I play that brings a very distinct type of sound.
Well,
it's my gear.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Every guitar sounds different. You know, if you play guitar, you don't have to be, you know, some kind of a musical wizard. If you're just any average Joe who picks up a guitar and plays it, and then you put that one down and you pick up a different guitar and play that, you will hear and feel the difference. And that different sound and that different feeling stimulates to a different musical path.
For sure.
It will bring out new songs. It will bring out new. Yeah, it's a musical stimulation to bring in a new piece of equipment, whether it's a new keyboard, a new bass, a new guitar, a new acoustic, whatever.
I just recently started like playing around with the piano. I'm not a piano player at all, but I know sort of how to play the basic chords and do some melodies and stuff on the piano. And it's super fun because it gives me an entirely different way of creating music and seeing music, and I can make a song on the piano and sing to it, and it sounds super cool, and then I can translate it to my guitar. Yeah. But it wouldn't be the same though. I mean, some songs are just made
it's a different
for the
feel.
piano.
Yeah, it's a different feel.
So it's a matter of attack. It's a matter of feel and the way the sounds themselves manifest.
Yeah.
When you play them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why I love gear. That's why I love to experiment with different types of gear and stuff.
So you teach music. Would that say then that you have a lot of musical training in your background? Do you know music theory very well?
Not as much as I would love to.
Can you read? Can you read music?
Yeah, give me enough hours, I would.
Okay.
No. Well, I know the theory about it. You know, I'm not trained because that's a skill you need to work with.
Yeah.
You know, that's to read musical sheets and stuff like that. You need to do that a lot, I think. You know, I know the theory of it. I know how to do it. I can, with enough time, put a musical sheet into my guitar playing or whatever.
Yeah.
Am I able to play it? I don't know. But I know enough to teach it, you know, to point out how to do it, and then someone else have to spend their time making it automated for themselves.
I see.
You know?
That is one thing I wish I had a little bit more of. Or, well, actually, I have no training, no theoretical training at all.
And that's what I'm trying to tell the kids. You know, this is your time.
Yeah.
Spend it now. You know.
Yeah.
Because and it's not like, oh, you're not gonna live forever. You got to do everything now. No, but the thing is, now you don't think you have the time for it now, but you do. This is when you actually have time to be good at something.
Yeah.
This is when you need to start to work with. If you want to play guitar, just do it.
Just do it.
Because you learn so fast and you take an interest in things so deeply. And there are a lot of kids who start out like in 8th grade, and by the time they get out of there in 10th grade, they are way past me in their guitar playing. Like,
oh yeah, there's some talented.
Yeah,
there's some talented kids out there. I was also a teacher. That was my first job when I came to Norway. I led an after school program, and I was a teacher, music teacher, and I did that job with zero theoretical background and limited skills on playing guitar, piano, and bass. And there were kids in 8th, 9th grade that were. The talent that they had on the guitar was, you know, playing all this complicated, almost classical type of scales and whatnot, and they can play anything they hear on the radio and things you don't hear on the radio. It's just amazing. There's some kids out there with a lot of talent.
I love, you know, because they have the time and they have. Oh, I love YouTube.
Oh, absolutely.
I send all my if I got a skilled guitar player who wants to like pursue guitar, you know.
Yeah.
Blast the heck out of YouTube.
Absolutely. There's so many great lessons. You know, people, there's some YouTubers out there that are putting the time into doing some very great lessons on YouTube. So I highly recommend that. No matter how old you are, if you want to learn how to play guitar or get better at guitar, check out YouTube. So many guitar lessons there.
And even, I mean, even if the lesson isn't that good, you'll still learn something.
You'll learn something, absolutely.
So yeah, big shout out to that. So but what I'm saying to the kids, you know, we talked about this, you know, the time and the age we're at, and I always say to my kids, you know what, I've spent like the first years of my life, you know, up to the point where I'm at now, you know, or 10 years ago, saying to myself that my music is not good enough. You know, nobody will like this. Nobody will love this. And I've sort of kept it in, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm telling all these kids and everyone who wants to create music, just do it.
Just do it.
It's like Nike. Create the music, make the song, record it, put in a drawer if you want to, but just go through the motions.
Yeah.
The more songs you make, the more songs you finish, the better you will be at the process.
Well,
you make better songs? Not necessarily, because these songs may be really good. You just need to hit your audience.
Exactly. Well, and repetition leads to betterment. The more often you do it, the better at it you're going to get. Again, the quality of the songwriting may vary. You might have a bad day and maybe you didn't write that song as well as you could, but the process of...
But who is to say what a good song is? That's my
true.
point. I mean,
that's true.
Who is the judge?
Yeah.
Are we making the music for the industry, for some guy at an office or girl at an office, or are we making this song for ourselves first of all? And if anyone at all finds interest in the song, or it means something to someone, that is, you've done it.
Yeah.
You've actually made an impact in someone else's life with your music.
Yeah.
And if that is a song you wrote at 15, 16 years of age, and you played it with your limited skills on piano, and you recorded it with your limited microphone gear, but it sounds authentic.
Yeah, from the heart.
It touches something within you.
Yeah.
Why should you listen to someone who says this is not good enough?
Yeah, I'm kind of glad to see that the music business is kind of falling apart, because you had these guys in suits and ties deciding who was going to be heard, who was good enough to be heard.
Yeah.
And now with things like YouTube, with things like relatively affordable home recording equipment, people can bypass those suits and ties, and they can just do their thing and put their music out, regardless of the end result, regardless of the number of downloads or views or whatever. They can have that satisfaction as an artist of recording their music and putting it out there. And nobody can get in their way.
No, you could argue though that there's too much.
Well, there is that side of it. There's a lot of junk out there.
Yeah, everyone is sort of, everyone is fulfilling their dream.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of junk out there.
Yeah.
but
so you as an audience, you need to work more to sort of sort out everything.
Well, yeah, and I think it should be up to the audience.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was up to that radio executive or that record label executive what got heard. Now, okay, everybody and their grandmother is putting out music, so there's a lot of junk out there. But within that junk are a few gems, and let the audience decide what they want to hear.
Right.
Yeah. So that's
which brings us back to DigitalScenen.
There you
go. Sort of the nice idea of, okay, there is a lot of junk there. I gotta admit that. There's a lot of people who should never be on a stage, or let alone be out of the house if you want to go that way. But but within all these that are putting it, they find joy in it. For them, it's self-fulfilling to make music and put it out there. We are actually taking down a lot of stuff that is coming into our wall.
We
need to sort of protect some people from themselves.
Sure.
But in the end, and a lot of people have addressed this on the page, like, why are you making such a fuss over a stream that you don't like?
Yeah, don't watch it. Don't watch it.
Move along, go to another stream, find something that you do like.
You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see someone who up until this point has just been someone who sat alone in their bedroom or in their own living room playing an acoustic guitar and singing songs that they made. I'd like to see that person somehow maybe get in touch with a good sound technician, get in touch with some people who have some decent camera equipment, gather them up, and then gather them up and then get in touch with you guys, and then boom, now they're exposed to that audience that's potentially as big as 150,000 plus. And when those kind of things are happening, people who want to criticize just need to be quiet. They're not seeing the beauty in what DigitalScenen is offering. And I feel sorry for those people who want to stay on the negative and complain because this, that, or the other stream.
There's always going to be people around like that.
Yep.
So, but I just gotta, before we close this stuff, I just need to address one thing about the digital stage.
Yeah.
Because people think that when we have a pro show that we close the entire page down. We don't. We just send you into your own arrangement.
Exactly.
So you can still post. You are not being cut off from the stage.
Right.
You're just being told to go to your room and perform there.
Yeah.
You're being told that's your stage. That's your stage. We have numerous stages.
Yeah.
Just create that stage for yourself within DigitalScenen, and then you can perform there. The only thing that you will not get is the full attention of the wall.
Exactly.
Like the first page.
But they can still do their stream. Yeah.
Yes. The only thing that means is that you have to work your promo stuff.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do the promotion, then there you go. That's on you. And some of the people in here actually understood this. They have built an audience. They've been worked with their production and their promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And when they play gigs, even though it's a pro gig going on, they still get people to their room because people want to listen to them.
Because I would think if you have a Facebook page and you have maybe 3,000 friends on your Facebook page, if you promo just among your 3,000 friends on Facebook, you're going to get a decent handful of people that will then go over to DigitalScenen and watch you perform. It's really as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's really as simple as that, isn't it?
And we are looking at streams like it's our numbers are all messed up. I was watching a stream the other day and it had 250 people looking simultaneously. By the end, I think about 4,000 people had been into that concert at some point. But on an average, it jumped between 200 and 250 people at the same time watching it.
Yeah.
It's a whole system of algorithms going on here. But the thing is, when was the last time you played a gig for 250 people?
Exactly.
And we're looking at streams and okay, you had 700 people. Oh, that's not enough. That's not a lot of people. Are you kidding me?
When is the last time? Exactly. Think about that.
And that's the thing. And we had Backstreet Girls doing. They had nearly 4,000 people.
Think about
simultaneously looking at their gig. That's a lot of people.
And then I look at it also this way: if people, I hope people. You said the money that people are donating to these artists has gone down, and that's fine. But if people would just give 10 kroners, 10 Norwegian kroners, and you have 250 people watching, that's 2,500 kroners, which is roughly $250 for you to perform for a half hour, 40 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
That goes a long way towards supporting that musician's furtherance of their art. So I hope people keep, anybody listening out there, keep in mind that's one thing to watch, but it's another to just give a dollar for those of you listening in the States. Give a dollar. Give a dollar. So, and 100 of you watch. Well, that musician now has $100 that they've made. So,
yeah, of course. I mean, so that's the thing. I mean, it doesn't for this Norwegian Vips thing, which is super easy. Just punch in a number
and send the money. Yeah.
Just put in a 10. That's a good.
It's not a lot of money. You're not going to miss that 10 that you put in, but that artist will certainly feel that 10 if 100 of you do it. That's 1,000.
Sure.
So I tell you, man, sure. I bow and take my hat off for you, Raymond Olsen, and everybody at DigitalScenen.
everybody.
Everybody who's taken part in DigitalScenen, whether you're an artist, whether you're a viewer who has then contributed money to these artists, everybody behind DigitalScenen who has made it happen, all of the sound technicians, the lighting people, the camera people. It's just an organization it's a gathering of a lot of people who truly care about the art of music. And
so it's remember to understand that we are not, we only have friends. DigitalScenen is just a promotional platter. I mean, we work with promotion, and in hard words we restream. I mean, we put it out there.
Yeah.
The real people who is doing the real jobs are out, playing the music, doing the cameras, doing the audios and everything. And so that's important to get out there. But it's been a hard job. I mean, we've been doing this for 4 weeks now, for free, obviously.
Yeah.
There's no money in this for us.
No.
So
not yet.
As of now, at least.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm so impressed about many of the people working their ass off around this entire country, creating content and
it's beautiful to
music
watch
out to the people. Yeah,
it's a really beautiful thing to see, to watch this thing unfold and see what it's doing for people, both for the listeners and for the performers.
And now all the big artists are coming in. I mean, there's going to be I can't remember the name of the page. I'm really, really sorry for that, but there's a page that are arranging a sort of a festival with all the big international artists Norway has on their page. That you can buy tickets, but by the end of the day, I think we have a lot of we are booked, like weekends are booked up till summer on our page.
Huh.
So and we still have spots that we can fill in, and we're going to do it. But it just shows how creative people are, and these are just rather national big artists that are booked.
I'm not a nationally known artist, but I am a musician, and I can feel I feel like a racehorse in a cage trying to jump out. I wish my shoulder was not messed up. I would love to get on DigitalScenen and do like a short little half-hour show.
Let Henning be your right hand. Let Henning be your guitar man.
Yeah, but again, it's the thing is I have asthma, so if I get this virus, it's probably going to hit me hard. I haven't been out since the 10th of March. I did a stand-up show in Oslo on the 10th, and I haven't been out since then. So so that's my situation.
Yeah, we've been more or less quarantined as well since we came from the US. I was just job for a couple of days, and then I just went home.
Yeah. So that's my situation right there. But if it wasn't for that, man, I would. I can just feel it. Like I said, like a racehorse ready to start running. I've been. But I don't know. I've had my outlet. I have used all this time to sit in the studio quite a bit. I've done a lot of writing. I've got some. I've got the framework for 5-6 new songs. Yeah. So it has not been time wasted, and this has not been time wasted. I have really enjoyed talking to you, my friend Raymond.
Yeah, you too, my friend. It's been super nice. I guess you know what you told me. Well, you can talk for half an hour or something. Like, have you met me? And I said, well, some podcasts are 2 hours, and like, now we're getting there. I guess we could be here for another 3 or 4 hours just talking, but for the sake of everyone's mental health, I think we need to wrap it up soon.
Well, you know what's causing me to wrap it up? I can smell. Now, my studio is way on the far end of my house, but I can smell baked salmon. My wife, Snoopy and the babies are going out camping. They're going to go isolate themselves up in the mountains, and before they leave, we're going to have baked salmon. So I'm smelling that now, and it's
and we haven't even discussed food.
Oh man!
Oh man! We need to do a second one of these because we got so much stuff to talk about.
Well, I tell you what, Raymond, you are welcome anytime. I've already told you you're welcome anytime in my home, and you're welcome anytime on the podcast. I think this has been a great episode. I have enjoyed profiling what you're doing with DigitalScenen. That's
I'm so glad you do.
DigitalScenen
Come say hi, people.
Go on DigitalScenen on Facebook. Check them out. Check out the quality of the performances there. And Raymond Olsen, I love you, brother.
Yeah, you too, my friend. You too.
Take care of yourself, and we will talk again soon.
Yeah, we will. Okay, bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. Raymond Olsen, a good friend of mine, great musician, a great man in the music world of Norway. Thank you all for listening. Bye now.
I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Yes, I am. Yes, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Yes, I am, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. Lord, I'm coming home.